This is Palazzo Farnese, which is the most important palace in Rome. At that time, it was used for many purposes. It was the center, the headquarters of power, of police power. At the same time, they held parties, concerts. They have accommodations for that. It was a kind of citadel in itself, where many different things happened. The heart of political Rome at the time. Perché lì che adesso non è quella che era una volta. Di qua si va agli appartamenti privati, invece di qua alla sala d'ecco. Vedi, andiamo. Ecco. Vediamo qui lui. Ecco, apri quella, guarda. Quella lì. E anche l'altra, guarda, così abbiamo più luce e vediamo un po' meglio. You have to study the whole planet. When you put in movement the planet, you have to see everything. Like when you do a film, you write so much about the characters, and in the end you use only what you need to tell the story. But behind it and around it, there is so much research, so much studying. You know, sometimes one little detail prompts you an idea that becomes part of the final vision. In any case, the magnificent elements of this room, which is the Sala d'Ercole, I try to bring them back in the second act, like this extraordinary and typical ovals, niches, where the Farneses adapted portraits of emperors and so on, and the marvelous fireplace, which is still in action. The French ambassador still uses it. Now, that is the coat of arms has been changed from Farnese into the Lit de France. You see, that's been added later. A lot of things must have burnt in this fireplace. Hello? A lot of documents of Scarpia. There. Life of people must have been burnt here in this fireplace. Now, this ceiling is very important. It's one of the most beautiful ceilings in Italy. And we have reproduced it absolutely identical in fiberglass for the New York production. But it is an exquisite example of craftsmanship, of oak carved exquisitely by the best people in Rome. The proportions are exactly those of, oddly enough, of the proscenium of the Met. It's 18 meters, maybe about 20. When I have an opportunity to study a piece, I study everything, the period, the political period, where the painters, the fashion, the literature of the period, how people lived, how people worked, how people spoke. It's, unfortunately, I cannot do it as thoroughly as I did at the beginning of my career when I had less commitments. When I did Don Giovanni for the first time, I went and lived in Austria and Czechoslovakia and Germany for 3 months. I saw everything. Or when I did Rossini and La Scala, was the first time I worked with Callas, with Turco in Italia. I went to Naples for 2 months and studied the whole culture of Naples, and which has been a good, wonderful experience for me, and has been very rewarding, because later I treasured all the things that I learned at the time, and I did not use necessarily for the production, but the whole period was covered. So it's very important to know everything. Not that it's strictly necessary, you can do without it, but it's the accumulation of correct things that make a production respectable. What I really like, every time I come here, I imagine Scarpia hearing her voice singing for the Queen, opens the window and looks down into the courtyard, and he gets more and more involved with this woman, Tosca, sitting here, wondering if it's worth to kill people for love. fortress of Castel Sant'Angelo was connected by a long, thin bridge to the holy city of the Vatican. That was the umbilical cord from the main cathedral to here. Unfortunately, what you see now, it's quite different from what it was then. The shepherds were here. That's why Puccini put the shepherd singing. Everything was green. Vineyards, forest, everything. Yeah, that's it. You could hear the shepherds singing from up here. That was the last glimpse of life that people sentenced to die were offered. Actually, it's not sure that this was the execution place. Generally shot people, or hanged them rather, in, against the battlements down the ground floor. But both Vittorio Sardou and Puccini preferred to have this spectacular view of Rome as the last glimpse of life for Cavaradossi. It is the most beautiful dramatic opera, I think, ever composed. It might be better music in other operas of Puccini himself or other composers, naturally. I don't want to make comparisons. But the ultimate dramatic effect is so intense and so economic that makes it a masterpiece, a lesson. So cleverly dramatic engineered. It's really like a bullfight. From the beginning to the end, you see these magnificent characters. At the beginning, like a bull enters the arena, it's beautiful, marvelous animal, healthy, sniffs the air. He's the king of the universe. Like she arrives, so Cavaradossi is there. Cavaradossi has already some problems because he has this political situation that he hides away from her. Scarpia is there in full power. So these three big animals are there, ready to face one another. And at the end of those 2.5 hours of traffic, they are all dead. Like in a bullfight, as they say, like in an arena, you know, celebration, bloody celebration. At the very end, when she thinks that everything, her plan, her scheme was about to work, really, Scarpia was killed, and she has the pass for the safe conduct for Cavaradossi, and she has been guaranteed that the bullets are not real bullets, and it's all going to be fake. And when she sees the blood of her lover, in those few seconds, the whole world collapses. And she has no other solution in life, no other future but killing herself. And the last thing she says, in a way, Tosca is a very religious piece of drama, because the last word of the libretto is Dio, God. She curses, in a way, Scarpia, saying, "We shall meet before God. Scarpia, we shall meet before God." And she flings herself. It's an extraordinary piece, and Puccini knew perfectly well what theater was. It's the most compact dramatic opera ever written, ever composed, I think.